continue on here. So one of the things about Miro is that you can see that it's an infinite canvas, which means that if you just kind of worked all over the place, it could get a little messy. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use these things. You see how they separate the board into different areas. They're called frames, and frames create specific workspaces in the infinite canvas where you can focus on a specific type of task or anything. And here's the frame tool over here. It's on the left. I can go ahead and add that, and it has different shapes, right? If you're doing wireframing, there's some things like that. It also has the custom ratio. We can just draw whatever shape that you want. And then here is the 16:9 frame appeared over here. We can go ahead and drag it in. And the frame is the area where in which you're going to work. And so we can change the color, we can do whatever we want, and we can add sticky notes and templates. And the frames create those areas where you can work on a specific problem and stay organized. You can also see that if I drag the frame around, the content within that frame goes with it. I mentioned before that Miro is based, a lot of the functionality is based off of shapes and sticky notes and all of the rest. Well, we actually have combined those in advance, knowing a lot of the tasks that you're doing on a day-to-day into a large template library. And you can access it over here on the left. And the template library is split out into some of the categories that might look a little familiar from before. So things like brainstorming and ideation. So we have the mind map tool. We have things about understanding your customers better, like customer personas and empathy maps. Research and design, things like user story maps and wireframe. Strategy and planning, things like product roadmaps, concept maps, PI planning if you're doing scaled agile. I don't know how relevant that is for this group. SWOT. For agile workflows, we have things like retros, Kanban tool, lots of retros, mapping and diagramming, and I can go on, but we're going to move on. And all of these templates are built, I'm actually going to delete this, are built off of those shapes and text boxes and lines. And so what does that mean? It means that we can customize them and change them. A lot of the times, you're going to find that templates are, even if it's not, like if you're not making a retrospective, if that's not what you're planning on doing, it's still really valuable to go to the template library and find something that's similar to what you want to create, because it can really save you a lot of time. So here's my template. It's come in as a grouped object, and we can ungroup it with this icon here, ungroup objects. And you can see that this template is just made up of text boxes, shapes, and sticky notes, which means that if we wanted, we could add a new section. See, for instance, this retrospective has what was good, what was bad, ideas, and actions, but these are all ideas. Perhaps we wanted to add our own next steps section because we saw that online and we want to recreate a specific template that we saw. Oops, wrong icon. We want to see a specific template that we saw from some thought leader or something like that. And so we can go over here and create on the shape tool. We can create a new shape, or we could, for instance, duplicate this shape with Command or Control D and choose a different color. Maybe I'll do that one. It's always a struggle finding the color that satisfies me. And we can call this next steps. When you're creating processes that you want to be spread, yeah, go ahead.
There's a question from Christina. I think that would fit right in there. Can you share customer templates with others that they can use it?
So yeah, great question. So if you highlight all of the custom things that you've just built, you can go ahead and save it as a custom template. And you can actually share it with your team or with your company if you're on the enterprise plan. And that has like multiple workspaces, so they're kind of separate. So if you share it with the company, it'll be shared across the workspaces. And people can find those in the template library. If you're talking about sharing those with outside of your account, we're actually working on a user-driven content thing, but that's secret, so shh. Okay. Cool. But it's not just all about, I'm going to try to wrap up really quickly because I want to get to the brainstorm part and then the Q&A. But it's not just about what you can create with Miro. It's also about what you can pull in. And I don't have time to go through all of our integrations with like task trackers and Confluence and Slack and MS Teams and all of that. We have lots of integrations. But I do want to highlight that you can put in files from many different places all over your board. And here is the PDF. So we can actually page through a PDF that's written right here on the board, and we can read it and understand it, make some comments. If you paste a link on your board, it'll turn into this preview where you can see the title. This is just pasting the link right on the canvas. You can paste YouTube videos or Vimeo or whatever on the board, and you'll be able to play and watch it right from within the canvas. And here's actually a Google Sheet where we can see the spreadsheet. And actually with Google Drive files, you can actually edit them right from within the board, which is a really nice feature. Now, what about collaboration? We're going to experience not quite this in a little bit because we don't have enough people, but I can share with you briefly something about the experience. This is an extreme case. But this was an internal brainstorm that we did at Miro. We split the company up based off of their general location, and this is the brainstorm, very similar to what we're about to do. And you can see that there are something like 80 people here in the board, and you can see that there's no lag or anything like that. They're just creating and working. We're going to see how it works with us. Obviously, everybody in this is a Miro employee, so we're all very familiar with the tool. But it's going to be a lot of fun to see what people can come up with and experience this together. That's the live collaboration experience. When you share the board with other people, you can invite them directly, giving them 3 levels of access: can edit, can comment, can view. You can also share with a public link. And you can also do this nice little toggle where if they are a member of your workspace, they'll be able to automatically access your board with whatever level of access rights that you give them, which is great for team transparency. But beyond just being able to work together live, we also have tools specifically built for collaboration. And one of them, of course, is the cursors. The other one is a timer, where we might use this, we'll see. We also have a built-in voting tool, built-in video chat. I don't know if I hope you guys can see my bottom left of my screen here. We have a voting tool, and we also have the chat. And if I just go ahead and drop a sticky note just for reference. Oh, it came in white. Let's change the color. This is a sticky. We're actually going to drop a comment just to show briefly what that experience is like. You can see that if I add a comment onto this sticky or any sort of thing, it'll actually stay on the sticky note, contextualized there, which is really, really convenient. So if you're doing like a brainstorm or a retrospective and somebody drops and pins a comment on something that you've said, maybe asks a follow-up question, no matter where you move the sticky, it'll always stay contextualized. Let's see. If you guys want to know about presentation mode or exporting, go ahead and ask it afterwards. That's a great question, Miriam. Let's ask it. I'll get to that at the end. All right, brainstorm training. We're going to jump into a brainstorm. Are you guys ready? I hope most of you will join because there's only 29 people, so let's do it. Some things to know before we jump into the board. The first is how to navigate. So if you want to navigate around the board and you're new to a Canvas tool, it might be a little bit of a challenge for you. And something to know is that there's 2 navigation modes in Miro. And if you click on this icon up here in the top right, you can actually manually change your navigation settings. And although Miro should automatically detect them for you, it might be worthwhile, especially if you're new to a Canvas tool, to make sure that it's selected on the one that you need. Trackpad is what I'm using now, and it just uses 2 fingers to move around the board, okay? So if you're gonna use a trackpad, just as if you're scrolling through a blog or something like that, you're gonna use 2 fingers to move around the board, and you're gonna pinch in order to zoom in and out. All right, pinching and 2 fingers. If you're using a trackpad, say it twice. Now for mouse, it's a little bit different. Mouse, you're gonna pull yourself through the canvas. And you see how it's turning into this hand tool? This is the actual hand tool, or you see how it's turning into a hand? This is turning into the hand tool, and it's gonna grab parts of the board. But the thing about it is that if I click, held, and drag here, it's actually gonna move this text box. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna switch to the hand tool permanently by clicking on this icon at the top left. Okay, so if you're using a mouse, you're gonna join in the brainstorm, just remember that little button at the top left of your screen. That's gonna switch you to the hand tool permanently, and you're gonna be able to move around on the board with ease. All right, when you want to edit a sticky note or do something else, you can click back on that icon there to get this pointer tool, and that's gonna allow you to move things around again. All right, but hey, no worries, this is gonna be a little messy. I know a lot of people haven't used the tool before, and that's okay. Brainstorms are supposed to be a little messy, and some of the real benefits of using a tool like Miro is that it's messy and it's not polished. And when you're talking about being creative and innovative problem solving, one of the main things is that you don't need people to produce their final output right off. In fact, that can actually be prohibitive. So we're going to experience a lot of messiness today. We're going to embrace it. If you have a machine that is older or you're worried about the performance, I don't think we're going to have any problems today with 30 people. But once people join on the board, you're going to see in the top right corner, you're going to see some avatars. You're going to see me. You're going to see what people, some other guest avatars. And if you click on this icon, I'll zoom in a little bit more. It's going to look like a cursor that's moving really fast. You can turn off collaborators' cursors, so you won't see people's cursors moving around all the time, and that'll improve your performance if you have any issues, but I don't think we will. Okay, so I'm gonna put the link to the brainstorm in the chat, and we're gonna go in and we're gonna deal with this question, which is, what are some ways to promote creativity and innovation in a distributed team? You can read it as remote team as well. Step number 1, don't stress, it'll be messy, that's okay. Step number 2, select, oh, this isn't applicable anymore. Select the board link. Toggle collaborators' cursors if you're worried about performance. If you're not, I don't think it's super relevant for this group. When you want to add an idea, you're gonna zoom in with your scroll wheel if you're on your mouse, and you're gonna pinch if you're on a trackpad. Just double click on a sticky note and then type some text. And that's your sticky note. You own that sticky note. You type whatever you want. And lastly, if you're advanced, read other people's ideas. Wow. Read other people's ideas. And look on the left side of your screen and grab a comment and drop a comment on somebody. And give some feedback or ask a follow-up question to one of your peers' things, one of your peers' sticky notes. All right, let me go ahead and grab the, oh, I just need this link actually. Let me go ahead and grab the board link. I'm so excited. Okay, there it is. Everybody join. How many people do we have? We have 27. I'm excited to see people's cursors or avatars start showing up. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Okay, so the problem is, what are some ways to promote creativity and innovation in a distributed team? I'm gonna have a little cheeky little use Miro in here. Okay, so if you've forgotten, double click on a sticky note that's there to go ahead and edit it. It looks like one of us has added a hi there sticky note with the blue color. That's great. You can see that it's a little bigger than the others. That's okay. I see the sticky note, foster communication. That's awesome. Whoever added that, if you're feeling super ambitious, I'd love to see a comment on that foster communication where you explain maybe a tangible example. Design thinking methodology. Looks like we've got 19 collaborators in the room. That's awesome. Somebody just made a really big sticky note and then pulled it back down. First try. I'm going to add one. We have a value here at Miro, a company value. It's embrace trust to turn failures into wins. And I think that's really powerful because really in order to be creative, you have to expose yourself to risk, even as a fellow peer with your colleagues, right? What if I say something that isn't a full fleshed out idea? And do I feel like I'm able to do that? Oh, we're seeing lots of comments. How awesome. Try to walk during your team meetings and change your circumstances. That's really cool. I've heard about people not systemizing, but promoting walking meetings. I think that's really great. All right, I'm going to set a timer, and we're going to do maybe more like 3 minutes of this. Listen to music together. How interesting. How do you listen to music together in today's environment where everyone's truly distributed? Interesting to know if you have a tool that you use. Visit a kindergarten to learn. What? Oh, somebody drew a heart. Okay. Okay, in the chat, do you guys want to try out the voting tool or do you want to go to Q&A? Maybe we could do both. Let's do it. Okay, so if you guys are able, go back over to my Zoom screen because I'm going to show you guys how to use the voting tool. Okay, so I'm going to stop this. This is the timer. So over here on the left, I'm going to start a voting session. And we're going to call it brainstorming together. We're going to give ourselves, I guess, 5 minutes or whatever. And we're going to give each person, what, like 5 votes? Do we have enough for 5? Yeah, why not? And we're only going to allow people to vote on sticky notes. And we're going to start the voting. So when you come back to the board, you're going to see in the bottom left-hand corner, the first thing you should know is that this toolbar is collapsible. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to expand that toolbar. Okay. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to click on the voting plugin and click Vote Now. You'll be taken to a different screen where you can then click on the different votes. You can actually vote on the same sticky more than once. So go ahead and do that if you want. And yeah, I'm voting right now. So the vote is open. Go ahead and go back over to the board and give it a shot. And don't judge me for which ones I'm voting for. You're not supposed to see. I'm a fan of icebreaker. Oh, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to skew the vote by saying which ones I'm voting for. Somebody just put this is stressful. I don't think we'll wait for the full, well, it's only 2 minutes left. Oh, well, while that's going, I'm going to answer this question. So Miriam Wilhelm asked, how do you onboard teams that have not worked with Miro for a workshop session? Is there a guideline to do this? This is my biggest challenge. So people are really inexperienced with Canvas tools. And at the end of the day, there's no like trick to this question. The way that we've solved this question and that we advise is in your introductory email to these people, in the same email where I anticipate you're saying things like, this is why we're having the workshop, this is what it's about, you can describe the toolkit and you can say, this is the toolkit, we're using a new tool called Miro. And if you go to our YouTube channel or if you go to Miro Academy, there are videos there that are quite good about getting started with Miro. And you can choose people to watch at least the first and second one of the Getting Started with Miro playlist on YouTube. And that's the first thing. Like, have people have a resource ahead of time. The second thing that you can do is have people do an icebreaker in advance of the workshop. So you can have a separate board for the icebreakers if you wish, or do it on the same board using frames. But have them fill out maybe 3 sticky notes where you're doing 2 truths and a lie. And then if it's a small enough group at the beginning, you can say like, you can use the voting tool to vote for people's lies or stuff like that. The coolest thing that you can do for workshops is explore the notes feature. And Miriam, my email is matt@miro. If you want to send me an email or I'll send you the video about running online workshops. But if you go to our YouTube channel, just do like Miro running online workshops on YouTube, you'll find that video and it goes through how to use the notes for workshops. It's a really powerful feature. Okay, let's end the voting. If you haven't done it, I'm sorry. End voting for all. And if you come back to my Zoom screen, you're going to actually see the tallied results. This is really exciting, actually. If Hi There wins, I'm going to be upset. Include your kids into the session wins. Oh my gosh. You guys are crazy. Talk about failures regularly. That was one that I voted for as well. I think that was a really, really cool one because that's about building trust, making people feel comfortable that it's safe to fail, which is going to in turn make them more likely to take risks, which is key to innovation. Embrace trust. Visit a kindergarten to learn. Do we have a comment about this? This is so true. I've never heard of this. Is this like a common thing for you guys? I've never heard of that. set a clear vision, coffee and chocolate, use Miro, icebreaker games. That was one that I voted for as well. Never stop being curious. Cameras on. This is huge. I've been in environments where people never turn on their cameras, and as a result, people stop treating each other like human beings. So I'm definitely a fan of cameras. Great. We've got some minutes left. I think our session ends at 7:15, so you can post another question in the chat. We should turn on our cameras. Yeah, sure. So we can be more creative. What are any other questions from you guys? Yeah, no problem. It's not that early. What is it? It's past 7 now. So that's okay. Go ahead. Are you raising your hand? Yes.
Yeah, I'm raising my hand. So one question, we used the tool at Intrapreneur like last week, I think, for a team building exercise. And we had this function where you can present and you slide between the different frames. And we got a little bit chaotic, like it got a bit chaotic. So do you have how do you structure it, or how do you keep it structured if different people are creating frames? Is there any tips?
Okay. I think the tool you are missing is in the bottom left-hand corner. There is something called a frames list. And this is where you can actually order the frames on the board. Yes. So if you're using Miro, as I have, to create slides, the frames, like you might add a slide in later, right? And then visibly on the board, it's in order, but Miro doesn't know that. So we have to tell Miro to order it, and you can actually click, hold, and drag on these. And if you see, it creates this new blue line. And you can actually do 2 different views. You can switch over to the view where it gives you the preview as well. So if I wanted to move this up, I can do that. And then when I go to presentation mode, and play the presentation, it'll be based on that order in the frames list. Yeah, great question. Waiting for the feature to share templates. You mean outside? Yeah. In the meantime, we do have our new online community. So if you wanted to take a screenshot or create a public board link, you could post it in there and get feedback and just share it with the community as well. That's really fun. It's new, but it's hopping.
Will do. I love this. So I think we are having another 4 minutes. So I think time for one last question, and then I'm gonna post the link into the next session for everyone who wants to continue with us at the festival. So maybe
sounds great.
Opportunity for one last question.
See you.
All right, it looks like there is no other question. I think you explained it super well. So thank you so much for walking us through it all and coming all the way from the US. And yeah, like you said, we embrace the messiness today. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for participating.
Take care.
Really fun.